Yo, what's up? It's Jimmy Thunderhands, and this is the fourth video in my MMA pound for pound ranking series. Well, we're now at 1995, January 1st. This is 95 part 1, and the update is between August 1st, 1994, and January 1st of 1995. Now, on this one, we didn't have a lot of pancreas events like the last one, but we do have 2 UFC events. And so here's the changes. Here's the original list. You can see what everyone got. Ken Shamrock gets 7 wins. Hoist Gracie goes 4-0. See that? Hickson Gracie and Remco Pardell go 0-0. Pat Smith goes 0-1. So he basically, those 3 get the boot, basically. They get dropped. You know that they're going to drop. Boss Rutan goes 1-1. Masakatsu Funaki goes 4-1. Manabu Yamada goes 4-2. Jason DeLucia, who I had as number 11 before, there he is. He goes 2-2. And Hoist Gracie goes 4-0, but I already said that. All right, let's get right into it. So Hoist Gracie, he competes in UFC 3, and he beats a guy named Kimo Leopoldo. Leopoldo, who kind of almost makes it on this list, but he doesn't. And he has to drop out in UFC 3 because of that fight, but he did beat him. And so then he enters UFC 4, and he beats 3 people that night. And he also beats a new guy we'll talk about, Dan Severn. He's a very formidable fighter. And the 3 guys he beats, including Dan Severn, were much more prepared, because this is now the end of 1994. He's kind of invincible still. He looks pretty good, and he's way undersized, so he's definitely pound for pound, but he's also the best fighter in the world at the time. All right. Number 2 is Ken Shamrock. He was 8-2, if you remember, but since 8-1, so in the past 5 months, he's gotten 7 wins, and he loses to Funaki, and I think that's his only loss. But then he actually wins UFC 3 that we just talked about. Hoist Gracie pulls out of, and then he goes on a 5-fight win streak after winning 2 fights in UFC. And you can see here who he beats. He beats Takaku Fuki, who's our number 7, and he was on number 6, a guy named Alex Cook. Mo Smith, who's coming up right now, he's actually, he's probably top 20 right now, let's say. Funaki at number 2, and that's payback. And he beats number 7, Manabu Yamada, who actually moves up now. And he's crowned the king of Pancrase. All right, so number 10, definitely number 2, Ken Shamrock. And honestly, just for sheer volume, he's close to Gracie. He's just not, because he got beat by him already. All right, this is not as complicated of a list, because not everyone did good. Result wasn't that many events. Okay, we have number 3 is Masakatsu Funaki, who was the former number 2, if you remember, and he was 8-2. And he picks up 4 wins since last time, and he loses 1 to Ken Shamrock, but he also beats him. He beats Minoru Suzuki, but he loses to Ken Shamrock in the King of Pancrase tournament. So he only gets dropped 1 spot, alright? He just switches with Ken Shamrock again, if you remember he did that before. And number 4 is Manabu Yamada. If you remember, Manabu Yamada came over from Shudo, from a 3-0 win streak in Shudo, enters Pancrase 3-0 win streak in Pancrase. Then I think he loses 1 to Takaku Fuki, who's great, who's still a high-ranked fighter. And then he loses to Ken. He does lose to Ken Shamrock in the King of Pancrase tournament, so he's actually 7-2 this year. And he loses to Ken Shamrock in a 30-minute decision for the King of Pancrase. So it's a pretty like good fight. It doesn't really hurt him that bad. All right, and he beats Frank Shamrock, and he beats Minoru Suzuki. Okay, on top of the 30-minute match with Ken Shamrock and plenty of other wins. All right, that's it. Then we go number 5, Boss Rutan. Uh, Boss Rutan loses the spot just because he wasn't as active, but he does beat Jason DeLucia, and he does lose to Ken Shamrock. So he goes 1-1 in these 4 months. That's all he does. All right. The other guys put up a lot of volume. It's not really a really big knock on him because he still beat up good people. It's just Manabu Yamada jumps him a little bit because Manabu Yamada beats Shamrock. Shamrock beats Rutan. And Yamada beats a lot of other people. Just how it falls at this point in time. Okay? And Manabu Yamada has like 14 wins and like 6 losses at this point or something like that. 4 losses. So he's in a really good spot right now. All right. Okay. So next is Minoru Suzuki, and I think he drops a bit, right? But it makes sense. He had 3 wins and 2 losses, and he loses to Manabu Yamada, who's 2 spots above him. And remember, he lost to Boss Rutan too. And I don't know who else he lost to, but he loses to Matsukatsu Funaki. All right, he's 11-3 overall. 11-3 overall right now, but the 3 losses he have, the three people that he's lost to are the 3 people who are above him. Okay, Boss are the 3 people on this slide. That's why Masakatsu cannot overtake Boss, Manabu, or Masakatsu. Alright, everyone in this top 10 list is good. Even though it's in the early days of MMA, everyone in the top 10 list is good. And if you want to be number 1, number 5, like Boss, you have to be almost perfect, you know? Manabu Yamada going 7-1 or 7-2. Masakatsu Funaki losing only to Ken Shamrock. Really just really good. Alright, let's move on. Number 7 is Takaku Fuki. Takaku Fuki stays on. His record isn't that good, but he doesn't just fight random people. And all the lower ranked people he beats, he tends to always beat them. Alright, and he beat Manabu Yamada, who was number 4, handing him, I believe, his 1 of 2 losses in Pancrase at this point. And the only person he lost to was Ken Shamrock and Mo Smith. Now, Mo Smith isn't ranked yet, but that's his only loss to someone lower ranked than him, okay? And he has other wins, and his only losses were to Funaki, Suzuki, Shamrock, and Rutan. Alright? And Funaki, Suzuki, Shamrock, and Rutan are all ranked above him. So, and he does have 7 wins. It's hard to bump him out lower than that. Let's look at the next 2 people. First we have Dan Severn at number 8. Now Dan Severn, some people might say no, blah blah blah, but Dan Severn just edges out the other people by like quote unquote quality versus volume, right? Dan Severn enters the UFC. He's 6'2", 250 pounds. He was a D1 wrestler, and he was actually an Olympic alternate. And Jeff Blatnick, who was the UFC commentator at the time and actually was the Olympic super heavyweight, I don't know if it was freestyle, but I think it was Greco-Roman wrestling for the U.S. in the 1984 Olympics. And he was actually on the training team, like the tryout for that. And he was on the team with Dan Severn and talked about it. So we know Dan Severn was on that. He was kind of like the real deal. I think he was like the best ranked wrestler to really enter the UFC at this time. And he goes 15 minutes against Royce Gracie, and he beats 2 people. But because he did so well against Royce Gracie, we know that he's a much higher quality wrestling. He's a better wrestler than even Ken Shamrock is. Maybe doesn't have the full package, but also Dan Severn presents a more maybe punching style, not as much going for the submissions. He's willing to do other things. But the point is that Dan Severn does the best against Royce Gracie. He's the only person who really does anything of note against Royce Gracie, other than Kimo Leopoldo, who of course lost it. Okay, so that's how Dan Severn gets the spot. Because I think if you look, Dan Severn just had some guys get on here for hype sometimes, right? You just have a couple good fights, and you get on here. That's what Dan Severn did. He's that guy this time. Number 9 is Jason DeLucia. So Jason DeLucia was actually 3-2 before this. In our last one, he was number 11. He actually had beaten Masakatsu Funaki, but I think that Masakatsu Funaki made a mistake. But at least it did show that he did underestimate Jason DeLucia, and Jason DeLucia was a little better than he thought he was going to be, which is the case, I think. So Jason DeLucia, I have here, he was 6 feet tall, and he was about 190 pounds. That's honestly probably, yeah, he's 190 pounds, let's say. So he's a little bit small, and he won one fight in the UFC, two actually. The first UFC, he was an alternate, and the second UFC, he won one and he was knocked out by Royce Gracie. Then he went to Pancrase and goes 1-1, beating Masakatsu Funaki and losing to I have no idea who. Then he loses to Bas Rutten, and then, well, either way, the important thing is this: that he is undersized. He goes 2-2 in Pancrase and goes 2-1 in the UFC. And he was 1-1 against. He goes wins against Funaki, then goes 2-2 in Pancrase before he goes 2. So overall, he's 5-4. Good volume, 5 wins. Has a good solid win against Masakatsu on his record. Fights Royce Gracie once. Actually fought him before, but we'll just forget that. Either way, he gets the number 9 spot. Okay. And I'm gonna take another note here to say about Bas Rutten. Uh, Bas Rutten had that match for 17 minutes against Ken Shamrock. So even though he lost, he's still pretty good. All right, and then we have number 10, who's Rickson Gracie. And the reason he gets the spot is because no one else is as good as him. Kazuo Takahashi, Lucia Nagasawa, if you remember them, they don't fight. And Katsuomi Inagaki goes 1-1, beats no one. Vernon White, I can't remember if he doesn't fight anyone, but he doesn't do very good at all. He beats like no one. He loses to new people. So there's not really anyone else to put. And think about Rickson Gracie, he's still 3-0. It wasn't that long ago that he won at Vale Tudo Japan. It's only been 5 months. And that 3-0 record still holds a lot of weight because he is a Gracie. So there's the record, and here's the rankings. Number 1, Royce Gracie is 11-0, 10 Shamrock, 15-3. Number 3, Masakatsu Funaki, 12-3. Number 4, Manabu Yamada, 14-6-2. Number 5, Bas Rutten, 6-3. Number 6, Minoru Suzuki, 11-3. Number 7, Takaku Fuki, 7-3. Number 9, Jason DeLucia. Number 8, Dan Severn, 2-0. Number 9, Jason DeLucia, 5-4. Number 10, Rickson Gracie, 3-0. This is Jimmy Thunderhands, aka Senior Guachamanos. This is my 1995 Part 1 pound for pound / power rankings, MMA. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.